Okay, this is the February video chat with fans. There was no January one because I was extremely sick when that was scheduled. And even now, this is one of the longest lasting illnesses or slowest recoveries I've ever had. I'm through the worst of it for sure because I've been sick so much before it felt like I was gonna die. It didn't get quite that bad, but it got maybe 10 to 15% that close. I was just in agony. Since then, I've gotten better. However, uh, I went to a doctor. I got diagnosed with tracheitis, so that means I have a infection in my trachea, which has affected my voice. So as a warning, this session may get cut short if my voice just starts hurting too much or giving out. Just so I'll definitely get through announcements and as many questions as I can, but we'll see how it goes. the Let's see. So yeah, and unfortunately, this does affect the videos. That's why there was no video for January, because the first couple weeks I just did not care about anything. I was just in misery where I just didn't care about anything. So since then, I am better and can work on things. However, this right here is going to be the longest I've talked in over a month, however long that ends up being. So we'll see how it goes. For future videos for this month, it all depends on my voice. I think if it gets better and my voice toughens up a little bit, the infection gets better, then I think for sure I'll have more Freeman's Mind. If not, one thing I'll probably have is more Dead Game News episodes, because those are the easiest on my voice. And then would be Game Dungeon, and then unfortunately last is Freeman's Mind, unless Freeman, unless for some reason Freeman has no reason to panic or get really upset, which doesn't happen too often. I mean, he was pretty chill in the alternate ending for Half-Life 1, the half episode. It was like, I forget which number it was. So if it was like that, but I don't think that's what's coming up. However, I do promise I will be working on the videos all this month. There's a lot of secondary support level stuff I can do. Like for Game Dungeon in particular, I could go through a game, write all my notes, get as much footage as I can, maybe do some editing, and then just wait till my throat's better, and then do the recording and do the rest of it and cap it off. I've actually done some episodes like that before already, so we'll see. I guarantee you, I am in good enough shape to be working. Just maybe the voice acting, it really varies. But plus, even if I can voice act, you don't want like a gross inconsistency between some lines and others. Not that I haven't had some, but it's worth it to kind of wait a little bit. Okay, I have a bunch of announcements because this has been like a 2-month gap, like 9 or so. I've tried to order these in importance, and for some of these, I'm asking people to contact me. So my email address is, as a reminder, is rosswscott@gmail.com. So that applies to anything I'm asking for. Okay, so the next thing is for the movie. I'm not happy with where I am at the moment, but I am pushing forward on it. And I've decided by the end of the year, I'm going to give a full status report on everything that's going on. I mean, I'm not going to give any plot spoilers, so you still won't know the storyline and everything, but everything technical, models, animations, maps. If we have anything to show off, maybe we can have some production shots, stuff like that. So that's my plan for the end of the year. I mean, it won't be like stroke of midnight, December 31st or anything, but, about at the end of the year. So, I mean, that may seem a little weak, but I figure, I was thinking, I bet a lot of people will wish Valve would do something like that. At the end of the year, we'll give you full status reports on all our projects. I think they would like that. So I think that'll help kind of keep me pushing forward on it. And also related to the movie, it has, I'd say, 2, possibly 3 big technical hurdles I need to get over. And once I'm past those, then it's just a straight shot to the finish line. I mean, it'll be a long shot to the finish line, but it'll more or less just be like making a civil protection episode once I have certain things nailed down. So, and I know how to do that. Some of the obstacles I don't know how to do. And right now, the biggest obstacle I would like help with, if you have ideas on this. Basically, there's going to be dozens of characters and models in the movie. You know, humans walking around, that sort of thing. So we need a system that we can make them look like different people, but the animations and their skeleton underneath will be compatible from one to the other. So if somebody has a sneer, you know, you could transfer that to another character, even if they look different. So I'm wondering, what is the best way to go about this? I was thinking something like you've seen in some games like Elder Scrolls or The Sims, where you can kind of tweak the character at the beginning, you know, make their cheeks bigger or their face smaller, that sort of thing, stretch out their chin. But then the underlying skeleton all matches. If there's something like that for models, for human-looking characters, let us know. Or if you're willing to help experiment with this sort of stuff, you know, I know the program Make Human might work, but we got to do some testing to see how they look. And for what it's worth, the fidelity of the models, we are not aiming for, you know, crisis graphics or something or better. I want to stay on the safe side of Uncanny Valley. So they might look a little more polygonal, that sort of thing. We have to experiment, see with what works best versus, you know, it doesn't rip you out of the experience when you see them animated. Because if they're real high definition and then the animation's a little off, that's going to be really bad. Whereas if they're kind of like World of Warcraft graphics, then the little discrepancies in the animation may not be that big a deal. So, yeah, but if you have experience with that, or if you just, you know, are willing to sort of do the guinea pig, some of this software for us, you know, test it out, see what you can come up with. Go ahead and contact me, and maybe we can get some more progress done on that. That's one of the biggest hurdle. That and the animation system are the 2 biggest hurdles for the movie. I mean, if we get that out of the way, that's gonna, not only will that advance a lot of stuff on the movie, but it'll be a big morale boost too. So, okay, next announcement. Oh yeah. Okay, as of now, for the December, November, okay, if you saw my YouTube demonetization video, you know, I talked about these scenarios as to how that algorithm might work to flag videos to be demonetized for most advertisers. Well, it's the reality is it's as bad as my worst case scenario, pretty much, or maybe slightly worse, actually. So when I talk about that finishing move in the video, that's what's happening right now. And not only that, but every single video I put up now, it's going to get flagged as not suitable for all advertisers. And I have to manually submit it and then wait for the review and for it to come back. Now, I have heard one way around this where somebody titles it as something offensive to get it flagged ahead of time so that you can submit it for manual review. I think that might be playing with fire because, you know, misrepresenting your video is a violation of YouTube's terms of service. Although maybe if it was temporary, like if I said, you know, watch this guy chop people's heads off or something, kept it private, then it gets flagged, then it could change the title back to what it's supposed to be, submit it, that might work. If anybody knows information about that, maybe I could do that. However, I'm just going to assume they've got me dead to rights and I can't get around this. However, that still causes me problems because they never email me about this. They, you know, there's no notification whatsoever. The only way to find out is to just refresh your the homepage, your video page on YouTube, and see if that's changed. So on that note, if any programmers out there, I was thinking the process for when that happens is pretty simple. You just click, something like manually review, then, a checkbox saying I confirm this, and then submit. I took screenshots the last time it happened. So if there's any programmers out there who have ideas, or maybe it could, just take the browser and just refresh it every 5 minutes, like hit F5 or something. And then if it sees that icon come up, because that's changed, that little yellow icon, it can know to go and click on the, submit for manual review, then click the checkbox, then hit submit. So basically write a script that's looking for some sort of image detection on the image detection when it's submitted. Because right now I hate this, because it can show up after 40 minutes, it can show up after 13 hours or a day or two. And when that does, I lose income from that. I don't know what's happened unless I'm just staring at it like a maniac. Whereas if I had this script, I could just leave that running, go to bed or whatever, or just, actually, I wanted it to run in the background, and I was thinking I might not be able to do that, but then it hit me. Maybe if I run this in a browser inside a virtual machine and then run that script, then when I submit a video, I know it's going to get flagged for being unsuitable, even though it is suitable. Then the program knows to submit it for manual review, and then it can at least automate the process and minimize the downtime and take my stress out of the situation. Like, I guarantee this video right here, it's gonna get marked as not suitable for all audiences until it gets reviewed. Then they'll say it's okay. So yeah, somebody's saying YouTube's API doesn't allow for checking it. If it just uses an image detection, like a 90% match of that little yellow icon and the buttons. Again, I took screenshots, so that'd be something to work off of. I think it will work, because then it's just scanning the image on your screen. It's not even scanning what YouTube is doing. So if you're willing to help out on that, send me an email. Hey, and I would request for this, we make it open source, just so people can check the code, make sure nothing's screws in there, or if YouTube changes the process, somebody can edit. And hey, this wouldn't be just a favor to me. This would be a favor to anyone getting hit by this YouTube stuff, because then at the very least, they could just leave the browser running, leave your program running, go to bed, and then if it gets, hit while they're asleep, bam, the program takes care of it, Yeah, I think somebody put a comment on Twitter about this. It's just welcome to 2018, where you have to counter code YouTube. So, yeah, if you have ideas, that's the best idea I can come up with. And again, if you can figure out a way to do it in the background so I can use my computer for other stuff without a virtual machine, even better. But I think a virtual machine would still get us there. So, yeah, I'll try and post those images I took of it happening later. I took them lossless, so that should make it there shouldn't be any compression artifacts. Okay, but yeah, it's hitting every video now, like every single one. So it kind of amazed me that I hit Captain Zap, because I figure either this is part of something more sinister, so it doesn't even matter what I'm putting out, or maybe it was just the video clips from the Flash Gordon movie, because the rest of that is just it's just blocky pixels on the screen. So I don't know. Oh yeah, I have one friend who's saying he thinks this is totally intentional, because he says, even if the AI is flawed, YouTube coding them to email you a notice when this happens is not hard, according to my friend here. So the fact that they don't, he thinks it's totally intentional. It's more conspiracy theory level. Who knows, Okay, next announcement. Composers. If any of you are composers out there, I am running dry on music, on sort of just general background music for the videos. For stuff like Ross Rants or some of the game dungeons without music. The thing is, I'm looking for a certain kind of music. Best way to put it is kind of laid back and upbeat. Nothing too aggressive, something I can talk over, but the tone, excuse me, the tone is generally kind of, just sort of light and fun. Like some examples off the top of my head are, I like the Toe Jam and Earl theme, but that one's a little busier than I like for, but that's a good marker tone wise. Look up the track Monacan Jam. That's a track from the show Aeon Flux. I love that one. That is exactly the sort of tone I'm looking for. Or listen to the music in some of my the top 25 game list. I was pretty happy with the background music of that. If you've emailed me about composing music before and I haven't responded to you, you can email me again. In fact, this goes for anything important to me. If you've sent me something important you're really hoping for a faster response from me on and I didn't reply, you can email me again. If it's something like, hey Ross, me and my cat like your videos, then let that linger. I'll get to it eventually. But if it's something more important or timely, it's fine if you want to hit me twice on that. But yeah, if I don't get enough of that, then all it means is you may risk hearing some of the same tracks I've used in the past again. I'd like to avoid that, but yeah. But those are some examples. But just, I'm not looking for any one style, but just sort of that. Plus, I think like it doesn't have to be electronic necessarily. Yeah, I think, and even at some of the Ross Rants, it had sort of almost like a classical feel, but it was kind of whimsical, and I liked it. So just something that might fit the overall tone I'm going for. Kind of, this can be existing stuff you've done, or if you're willing to compose stuff, just I will give credit to any video I use your music in. So, okay, next announcement. Oh yeah, this is a big one. Okay, in the future, I'm going to be doing a video related to this. Last time I asked if there were any Windows 10 users who've had older games that just won't run on them now. That offer is still open, so if you're on Windows 10 and there's a game you used to be able to run and you can't run it now, let me know the details. I may not reply to these, but I am going to look over them. But that also extends to Windows 7 now. If there are any older games that used to run on XP or something, but they don't now on 7, you can email me. And for Linux on Wine, this one's a little different. There's two things I want to know. One is if there's any kind of DirectX 9 and earlier games that just have a lot of problems on Wine or won't run. So not like brand new ones or native ones, but ones that were intended for Windows, but Wine sort of intercepts that to try to run on Linux. Any that have problems. Also, if there's any Linux, what? Oh yeah. Well, okay. Somebody's saying, Ross, please give a try to Linux. Okay. Well, that's what this next part is. If there are any Linux experts out there, I have two questions for you. One, I plan to do some game compatibility testing on Linux. I haven't messed with Linux in a long time, but I was planning to just grab Ubuntu, run, get the drivers settled, run Wine, and I've heard Play on Linux is a good front end for it. If you have additional advice as to what I should be doing to maximize my odds of game compatibility, okay, well, somebody has a good comment in the chat. I'm going to reply to in a second. If you have odds to maximize advice on how to maximize my game compatibility here, let me know. If there's any tricks you've noticed, that sort of thing, or any configurations, anything like that. Now, the other question, which somebody asked in the chat here, why worry about Wine when you can do a virtual machine? Good question. Well, that gets to this next part. For Linux, I would also appreciate advice for how to force driver-level anti-aliasing for OpenGL applications. Because my understanding is Wine translates the calls, the rendering calls being made to OpenGL instructions. So once it's like that, at least in theory, you should be able to force anti-aliasing on it, like real anti-aliasing, like multi-sampling anti-aliasing or super sampling, SSAA. Except you usually do that through the drivers. Now, it may make a difference whether it's an NVIDIA card or an AMD. I can try it on either. I have one of each. So, so that's an advantage it has over a virtual machine because you cannot force that at the driver level on a virtual machine. Whereas if you could do it on Wine, well, that would be about as good as it was when the game came out. You know, it would get that extra visual quality. So that's another half of what I'm trying to do here. Oh yeah, somebody's saying, do you want these tips sent to your email? Yeah, send them to my email if you want to. You have suggestions. So yeah, let me know what to do with that. I assumed it was just going to be installing the drivers, but I did some testing and I ran into more snags than I was anticipating with just putting the graphics drivers on. So yeah, just someone who's just really can spell it out for, you know, forcing anti-aliasing of the driver. If it blurs the GUI, that's not a problem. I just care about it affecting the Wine game. So you have a working game in Wine and you want to force the anti-aliasing on it for a game that didn't support that natively. Because that's something you can do for a lot of games in Windows. So, okay. Oh yeah, the next one. This happened recently. I'm not even sure how. It probably fell off my desk. But my headphones are still sound great, but they've received some damage here. You can sort of see the crack in that. Now the reason I bring this up is this is Beyerdynamic. I looked up for replacement parts, and this is a piece of plastic, you know, just to connect things. And it was about $22 for a replacement plus shipping. And I was thinking, geez, that's a lot for a piece of plastic, especially when the first one broke. So I did some more research, and I'm not the only person to have this problem. Somebody with modeling skill actually made a replacement model for a 3D printer. And they released it for free online. So if there's anybody with a 3D printer who, he put the format, it was in Tinkercad for the model. So if you can use Tinkercad and you can print something plastic with strong materials, I'll pay you for the shipping and parts. I mean, geez, maybe even make up the difference. I'd rather pay for something that's more sturdy. And hey, maybe you can print me a spare too, a $44 value, you know? So, I mean, I just couldn't rationalize that because these are good headphones. This is a Beyerdynamic TT770 Pro. I mean, I had another pair like this that lasted 7 years. Maybe could have lasted longer with a 3D printer. So yeah, if you're willing to, if you know about that and you can print me up something with, you know, strong materials, I could send you a link to the models. That'd be great. I'd appreciate it. Because I couldn't rationalize that when the original already broke. Okay, somebody's saying Ubuntu is the shame of Linux. Hey, I can try a different distro. Basically, I want to try this right with Linux. So that's why I'm asking the audience here. You know, I'll listen to what you guys have to say. I'll follow any directions as they're given. Oh yeah, and about the 3D printer, I still have not done the mouse thing as in my birthday video. However, that could have been my fault. So if you contacted me about that before I didn't respond, hey, send me another email. So maybe I'll have a custom mouse someday. Ross, would you accept a Linux image configured and ready for your exact hardware? Yes, we could try it that way. I could let you know the hardware. But yeah, I'm not too worried. Don't worry about if it's confusing. I just need directions that I can go through it. Like what I care about is getting these games running and enforcing that anti-aliasing. However we get there, that's fair game, you know? Okay, and the last announcement, it's not really an announcement, I just wanted to comment on this. You know, I've been a long advocate of PC gaming, and really for as long as I can remember, it in my opinion, it's been more economical than console gaming. Not because of the hardware, but because the games get so cheap, especially since they started doing Steam sales. If you wait for major sales to go on with Humble Bundle or Steam sales or GOG or something, I think it comes out way ahead in the long term. However, I feel like somebody just grabbed the table on that and flipped it upside down, because right now, I want to say this is the worst time ever to buy a video card or something. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, we're seeing video cards at like either sold out or double like the price that they were like came out new as. I'm not used to seeing computer parts get more and more and more expensive, especially video cards. That's so weird. So I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I get excuse me, you know, people asking for computer advice. Right now my best advice is to maybe get around to those old games you never got to playing, or look into 2D games right now, because now is an awful time for buying a new video card. So yeah, people are saying it's related to cryptocurrency mining. Boy, I hope they sort that out. I mean, it's because I mean, this is the longer this goes on, the worse it is. I mean, I'm glad I have a card, but I mean, geez. Well, to do my part though, not that it's a big change for me, except for one game which I want to cover later this year. Until this is resolved, every future Game Dungeon episode will be something that you could probably run at integrated graphics. You know, not too demanding. So that shouldn't be too hard for Game Dungeon anyway. But just to have some solidarity here for people who can't get something, you know. So either 2D or just not too demanding 3D. Okay, I'm feeling it on my throat, but yeah, I'll try and do as many questions as I can. I'll see how it goes with my voice here. Okay. Hey Ross, in light of all the false copyright claims, age restrictions, etc. that have hit your videos recently, have you considered a potential financial fallback should things get even worse? Is fan support enough to keep the ship afloat should things come to that? Well, okay, but like this, for the present, things are still going okay. That's the thing. It's trying to predict the future is about all of this. I mean, ever since I did that Begathon video, it's been mostly okay. You guys saved me. It's given, and I would much rather come to you than YouTube any day. So for now, steady as she goes, I guess. I'll find out though. I mean, December was pretty good because I had more videos out, and that month tends to do better anyway. January, I'm expecting to be pretty bad because I wasn't able to get much out. But yeah, tell you what, I'll let you know in the video chats if it's getting rougher. I absolutely hate just making videos like that Begathon. Like, I hope I never have to do anything like that again. I mean, just because I don't know. It just stresses me out tremendously just trying to. Well, it's all in the Begathon video. Every thought I had on donations and everything is in that Begathon video. So, excuse me. Okay, this next question. Okay, Ross, what is the most badass way to die? Okay, I have to give a warning here. My wife sometimes watches these, and she really doesn't like the more macabre questions. So in the future, I may possibly skip over some like these if I don't have a good answer. However, I thought about it, and I think I have the answer. because normally I don't see dying as very badass because, you fail, you lose, it sucks. That's the whole point. So, however, I thought about it, I think, and here's my answer. The most badass way to die is being killed by yourself from the future. So, in other words, your future self went back in time to come kill you, like a Terminator, except it's you. Because that would raise so many questions. It's better if you don't even know why either. Because that would raise so many questions. And, you have to figure whatever happened, you probably had a very interesting life ahead of you. So, yeah, somebody's saying Looper. No, that's not really what Looper was. Exactly. No, I mean Looper was sort of the other way around. No, this would be like it would be like the Terminator, except if it was you. So I think that's the most badass way to die because it's like it just sort of the more you think about it, the more it's like, wait, what? You're a man with a mission then. What's a question you've always wanted to answer that nobody seems to ask? I don't know if I have anything like that because if it's really something I want an answer to, it's like I just put it in the announcements. I mean, I sometimes appreciate the more fun questions. Like I remember one a while back that was like, would you rather fight something like 20 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck or something? I like kind of weird questions like that sometimes, but let's see. Russ, it sounds like you've had some life struggles with all your hell jobs and the conflict with Machinima a few years ago, as well as having now moved out of your own country and living somewhere totally new. I have a friend who's also ended up moving far away from home, is struggling to find and keep down a job, do well in school, among other things, and it's such trouble feeling motivated. What's your advice to stay motivated and healthy in terms of such extreme stress and uncertainty? Well, the motivation, you got to figure out what you're working towards. And like your case, it's probably the job or the lack of it that's stressing him out so much. So what will help you keep motivated and lower the stress is to figure out a solution to those problems. So let's say it's a hell job, one you just hate. Well, that actually in itself can be a lot of motivation to figure out, gee, what would I rather be doing than this job? I don't know. In my experience, that's kind of worked itself out. And that like the worst in like really bad jobs is just like excuse me, motivation every day to just try to figure out what would I rather be doing. So that one might work itself out. Now, if you're unemployed, that can be a lot worse because then it's like it feels hopeless, or if you do find a job, it's going to be the hell job. Well, in both of these cases, I guess, but you see what you do if you have a situation like that. It's it's the overused phrase, kind of think outside the box more. Actually, I have a friend right now who's working at a job he hates, and he's saving up money, and he's going to go move to the Philippines where his dollar will carry him much farther, and he's going to try and see if he can figure out some way to earn money online. So, trying to move to an area that has a lower cost of living, which, although that's assuming you can afford to move because, the tickets are not cheap. So you can get really stuck sometimes. So that's one sort of possibility for some people. Another, hey, I was only half joking in the Cult Tycoon episode. Look, go to that fellowship for intentional community site. Again, most of them are just going to, over 90% are going to be places you wouldn't want to consider, but that minority, that may actually be a way out for you, or a temporary way out to just get your bearings. You'll still have to work, but it could be working for yourself or like a community around other people, meet other people, try and get on your feet, that sort of thing. Because, it's, I guess just or another thing, like look at expenses that weigh you down because yeah, sometimes there's things like medical tourism or things like that where if you have like a medical problem, it can be just like 10 times less if you can manage to make it to another country or something. I guess I don't have an easy answer to that question, but hopefully I gave some there, especially the intentional communities one, because that's some of them are ways out of the current system if you're just being brutalized by the system. But yeah, just consider options you normally wouldn't consider that you may have a unconventional life. However, it could be a much better one than where you were going, I guess, if your options are really limited. Or hey, you can you can try to find people for help or whatever. But okay, but if it's another motivation thing, I mean, I don't know. Well, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, trouble feeling motive. Yeah, I guess the main thing is figure out what you want to work towards. That's and what you can compromise on, what you can't, because it's so much easier to deal with a job that you hate if you know it's temporary. Like like 1 month I'm out of here. And because you have a plan lined up and you're gonna quit, it's so much easier to handle that. Whereas if you feel like you're stuck there forever, that just it sinks you like an anchor. So yeah, I guess that's the best advice I have for now. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, I was watching the end of the Freeman's Mind last episode of one. Then he said, noticed one of the comments saying I sounded like the piggy bank from Toy Story. Do I agree? Not really, but I just kind of when I was kind of looking for any fun comment I could find to throw in the end credits. And I think that was coupled with another where I said I sounded like somebody else. Like I've gotten Ray Romano. It's like, why not? It doesn't matter if I think they sound like him or not. I'll just throw them all there. I could sound like their gym teacher. I could sound like, that guy at the grocery. Well, why not? Just throw it all in there. I thought it was kind of fun to just kind of like throw the feedback on that. Hey Ross, after your Go to Hell Game Dutch episode, did your mom find out about those soul contracts? Well, she hasn't. I think it's on a don't ask, don't tell basis with that. So I don't know. I haven't asked. So though if it bothered her enough, she sure would tell me. So let's see. With YouTube's current downward spiral of user hostility, do you have a backup plan for all your videos, like hard drive copies, cloud storage, or an alter account on a site like Vimeo, Dailymotion, or such? I do have a this is why I have so many hard drives, lying around the place, and docs. I keep redundant hard drives of everything, like long term. So it means I copy them to one and I copy them to another. So I could take one hard drive, throw it out the window, and it's all still there on the other one. That said, I am slowly, with volunteers, some people I need to reply to, trying to put some of the episodes and the files, sort of store it on just sort of this, on just free drives people have. Nothing, I'm not storing anything like super sensitive like that, but just, backups of the episodes, some shots that went with them, some related files, that sort of thing. So don't worry. Okay. The only thing I do not have backed up in any form is everything on the Accursed Farms junk channel. So except the intro, I have a copy of the intro. Everything on there, if it goes down on YouTube, that's it. There's no copy, but I don't think we'd be losing much. Everything else I've put up, I have a copy of. So if my YouTube channel got deleted, I could put everything all back up. So don't worry. I'm more or less on top of that. Although I did lose, I have a copy of the video, but I did lose all the extra files, I think, to the Test Drive 3 episode because just because I made a mistake in backing up. But yeah, I do have the original video file, but none of the extra stuff like the 2D graphics, the audio track, separated audio tracks, stuff like that. But the very best quote from Freeman's Mind is, so I guess this is my new job now, killing people. I've had worse. What was your worst job, and why was killing people not one of them? Well, I guess for Freeman, huh? Well, that's one of those things. You know, okay, I don't want to give too many details because you know, I want to leave some to the imagination for like what Freeman's history is. But the way I see Freeman, the way I've created him, is you know, some of his positions he didn't just get it just because he was good. Like I, I imagine like at Black Mesa there would have been like really, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not pronounced or heavy or really intense, like interdepartment feuding and that sort of thing and competition in between the things where people could go to a lot of lengths to try to screw over somebody else's competing project or to get you know theirs bumped up or get more of the budget, that sort of thing. And I imagine Freeman would have gotten his hands dirty. So that's about the answer I have for you. That'll probably come up more if I get to episode 2 when you have the other scientists popping up. So let's see. Regarding your ownership of some soul contracts, have any cups or other forms of dinnerware shown up to beat those contracts out of you, free those poor souls you have trapped? No. I mean, you know, this sign. Put it like this: anyone who signed it over, that from my memory, except for one guy, which I think Metal Dave has his copy. Everybody else, they did not seem to have a problem signing it over. This was well, one guy was like super hesitant for like 20 minutes. Said that is, well, I probably said that in the video. You know, he said sucker. Metal Dave said that, but I think because we would alternate, I would get one, Metal Dave would get the other. So let's see. Why did you watch Paul Blart Mall Cop? It was a social thing. I was with a group of people and we were meeting. I'm meeting some friends basically, and we're kind of killing some time, and that's all there was. And the movie was horrible. It's just one of the worst movies I've seen. So, hey Ross, in the second follow up, you said you covered The Last Stand Union City for Halloween, but you didn't. Did you change your mind? No, but I'll see. Black Mirror shoved its way in line, is what happened. I don't know. Look at this. I'll definitely cover it in a fall. I'm not sure if it's. I've been looking at it some more. I'm not sure if it really needs its own game dungeon now. However, I'll definitely mention it more in the follow up. I mean, a future follow up. You know. Somebody's putting it. Curious if you could make some kind of how I make videos video. Ross's Game Dungeon is an example, and he's asking about Freeman's Mind. And if somebody has links to it, that's great. That's probably the Make Freeman's Mind HD thing. For Game Dungeon, yeah, maybe I can do that sometime. It's nothing too special. It's just, you know, getting the game running, recording the footage, piecing. Game Dungeon's more flexible with the order it goes in. Freeman's Mind, it more or less has to be in a certain order. Because again, sometimes in Game Dungeon, I'll record a bunch of footage and then whittle it down. Like Quarantine, I did that. However, others, I'll know my shots that I want. I just go in and just sort of record those sections. I mean, sometimes several Game Dungeons, I'm not done with the script as I'm recording it, and you know, I'll just It's like I'm laying the track in front of me as I go. Others, it's all done ahead of time, and I just get the assets. Or sometimes I record the footage first. Sometimes I do the voice acting first. So it varies. Somebody in the chat's putting a more elaborate question on the. It looks like the next level of that duck horse question. Maybe we can ask that again after this. Okay, let's see. Oh, somebody's asking for the time estimate on the movie now since I'm running late. I don't want to think about. Well, hey, you know what? That it stresses me out asking about the time estimates. But you know what? I'm going to give the full status report at the end of the year. Or January of next year, something like that. So I'll keep on it, and then you can decide for yourself. Let's see. And he's also asking, do you plan on making a video either specifically or indirectly about peak oil? Probably not, because I did the civil protection episode on it for that environmental contest, and I've mentioned it in day 6. I mean, it's still an issue. It's the more research you do on it, the more you're just like, oh wow, whereas if you just look at some news headline that may not give you a really accurate, larger picture of what's happening, but I mean, some can, but okay. I remember in a previous video chat you mentioned that a fan had donated a few bitcoins to you. Recently happens with Bitcoin have got me wondering, have you done anything with those bitcoins you were given? I might be remembering. Okay, let's see. And also, what are your thoughts on cryptocurrency in general? Okay, well, the bitcoins, I did spend a little bit of them. Actually, one fan offered to send me a computer a while back, but I was okay. However, I had another friend who really needed a computer, so I asked if he was all right with shipping it to him, and he did, and he was hoping he could get paid for the shipping because the computer was kind of heavy. And he asked if I could do it in Bitcoin, and I said, well, yeah, sure, since I had those. I maybe shouldn't have done that since it came to about a third of a Bitcoin. Well, which is worth a little bit more now than it was then. But those are mostly sitting there now. I don't know. Yeah, that's cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in general. That's one of those things where I have no idea where this thing's headed. Because, I mean, maybe it'd be very valuable. Maybe it'll be worth monopoly money in the future. I mean, right now it's spiked up a bunch. It's funny, since I've held them, I think at 2 or 3 points I had people telling me I should just sell everything. I should sell them, and then it went up. So I don't know. Yeah, in fact, if you have real strong opinions about that, you're welcome to email me. I'm kind of like, if you think I should just sell them like right now, like sell everything right now, stop the video chat, go learn how an exchange works and sell it. I can try that. But I'm hoping in the long term this can be something resembling retirement, because I'm not real optimistic that I'll have that when I'm when I'm old age. If it doesn't, I guess right now I'm thinking, look, I think we're setting ourselves up for another 2007 style crash. I think there's a lot of indicators suggesting that what we're doing right now economically is not sustainable. So in that event, I think cryptocurrency in general might be worth more, because it could be seen as immune to those kind of just, kind of big swings of the stock market or the economy in general, because it is a finite supply. So so in general with my cryptocurrency, I figure I probably just won't mess with it until something major happens with that, and then see how it is. Maybe sell it or not, or maybe Bitcoin is going to be dead and I should just change it all to something else, another coin. Although I think that's taxed now when you do that. So I might not even be able to afford to transfer my Bitcoin to something like, Ethereum or something like that. I'm not sure. It's, every time I think about this stuff, I'll research it, maybe look it up a little bit, and I'll be like, forget this, and then go back to making the videos. So I guess at some point I have to do something with it. But what? Let's see. Oh yeah, for I also received some Litecoin and was it Doggy Coin or Dogecoin, and for those I still have some of those left. However, I definitely did spend some of them buying a game, a couple years back. Again, probably shouldn't have done that. So, uh, yeah, if you have strong opinions about like what I should do, especially in respect to anticipating another financial crash similar to what we had in 2007, except maybe even deeper, because that's when because I can't worry about stuff how the price changes from day to day, but long term kind of macroeconomic trends, that's the sort of thing I pay more attention to. And as for cryptocurrency in general, I think the best analogy I think I've heard from my understanding of it might be like the dot-com boom in the 90s, early 2000s, because I think in the future most of all these different because there's hundreds of cryptocurrency. I think in the future most of these are probably going to be worthless. However, there probably will be a few winners. The question is, which ones are going to be the winners? I have no idea on that, because even if one is like the best from a technical perspective, that's not always how it works as far as what becomes a dominant format or preferred item. So it can be all kinds of things. So I have no idea on that. I think in general, cryptocurrency is here to stay because it's made it as far as it has. But I'm sure we could see massive swings. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I'm not much. I've never been much of a gambler, and in general, stocks in general and cryptocurrency and all this stuff, it kind of feels like gambling to me in a sense. However, at the same time, this was true at one point. I think it might still be true. Right now, the level of inflation, I think, is higher than what you get from savings. So if you put a savings account, you put money into it, you're going to be poorer after 10, 20 years than if you have put it somewhere else, because even though you will have gained money, that money will be worth less because of inflation. So it's like almost like the system is forcing you to kind of put money elsewhere. And it's like, God, I hate having to deal with this stuff. My only interest in money is just to not have to worry about hit base needs like food, shelter, essential services, that sort of thing. So I'm hardly an expert on this stuff. But yeah, it's who knows where this stuff is headed. Okay. Ross, real-time strategy games have shifted from one of the main genres on the market to a rather niche one over the years. What do you think is the main reason for this shift? Well, a couple things. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by niche, because like here, let me check something. RTS games 2017. Like, I'd say, I mean, yeah, it's not as popular as it once was. Like, okay, see, last year we had, Dawn of War 3, Halo Wars 2. I don't know if this one is RTS or not. Sudden Strike. We had Total War Warhammer 2. That one's RTS/4X. We have, yeah, okay, some of these I know are in RTSs. I'm just doing a quick search on Google. So, Spellforce 3. Spellforce is sort of an RTS. And then here, let's check 2016 here. Go back another year. Okay, Ashes of the Singularity, Homeworld, Deserts of Karak, Battlefleet Gothic. Okay, I don't know about Cossacks 3. I think Off-World Trading Company is more management game. Not sure. Okay, so well, okay, okay, these are like the bigger title, and like here before that, what do we have? 2015, StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, Grey Goo, Total War Attila, War for the Overworld, Active Aggression. I'm not sure. See, some of these I'm hesitant to call them RTSs unless I'm sure. Okay, but my point is, we're still seeing a couple big releases each year, and we see smaller like indie ones also. So it is niche, sort of. However, like I would argue, maybe not, probably not in sales, but I would argue maybe in terms of like big budget. Well, maybe not big budget, but games with a budget behind them. There might even be more RTS games than I would say tournament fighting games, because there's big names coming out of tournament fighters, like Street Fighter, Tekken, that sort of thing. But as far as many different games as you can play, there might only be a couple that year. I think it might be on comparable turf. So I'd argue it's not super niche, but it has declined. One of the reasons I think is because RTS games, not totally, but they definitely tend to prefer PC, and the bigger, because of the interface, there's so many instructions going on that it usually doesn't translate too well to a gamepad. And the games that just you can't not hear about them because they're just all over the internet. Those tend to be multi-platform ones where because they can release them on the different consoles and PC and just spread it all over the world. So RTS games naturally sort of get shut out from that more. So I think that kind of diminishes their overall status. And plus, it's not as accessible as something like a shooter for most people, because shooter you can just start, okay, move along, shoot the guy. All right, you're playing a game. Whereas RTS is like, all right, now you need to learn how the mechanics of this particular RTS works. And I can see where that would be kind of a hurdle for some people. And somebody has a good comment underneath that. He's saying that the MOBA games kind of created their own competition. That's very possible. Because I'm sure there is some crossover. I'm actually not that into MOBA games, but I do like real-time strategies, so it's still doing all right. It's hanging in there. Okay. Well, my voice is. I'm feeling the strain on my throat for sure, but my voice is holding up. So let's see. Okay, questions about the movie. I think I'm just gonna skip this one because you're gonna get an update at the end of the year. And he's asking about the approach. It's not the movie's too. The workflow has still been too chaotic to have like a set process to describe yet. It's been too random. So you want to speed the movie along? Find somebody who can answer that question towards the top, towards the beginning of this chat. Okay, I would do this in a pirate voice. My voice is kind of strained. He's asking if Captain Freeman will return in Atlanta City 17. Maybe. We'll see. I know some people hated the pirate episodes, so I don't know. Plus, I used up a lot of my pirate lingo making that one, so it would be a challenge to come up with like a complete fresh set. Ross, what will you do if you somehow permanently lose your voice? Will you dub your videos through electrolarynx? I don't know. I mean, the thing is, I actually kind of prefer directing. And I mostly use my voice because, I can always just make myself do stuff. The problem with directing is it's slower for what I do. I mean, I have just, there's no shortage of ideas of videos I can keep making. That is not going to be a problem for, I want to say, decades, like running out of ideas of interesting videos I can make. But, something that I have to kind of produce more from scratch, I'm not sure. I'm not. That's a good question. I don't have a good answer for it. That's I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Question. I guess okay. I guess realistically, I don't know if I could maintain the same sort of popularity and everything if like my voice was just done. I mean, I'm sure I could with my videos, but not on the frequency it would require. So I might have to do some of those out of the box options myself, like maybe move to a place that's much more economical and maybe try to figure out something I could do for work online. Still work on the videos, but they would just be like far less frequent, but they'd probably be more interesting. Because I mean, I could keep making videos without my voice, just not as fast. That's the problem. When you got sick, you said that you didn't think it was possible for fast zombies to exist since you felt like a zombie had no motivation to move at all. And will you talk about that in Freeman's Mind too? Well, I didn't say I didn't think it was possible for fast zombies to exist. I don't think any zombies are possible to exist. Uh, I said it just seems ridiculous because I was just like, you know, the concept of moving fast just was unthinkable. So, and and he's asking for for a little tongue in cheek humor. I'm not big on tongue in cheek humor unless it's just really pushing it, or if it's like very subtle, I guess. Yeah. Like an example of that I was thinking was in the Black Mirror episode where I was saying, like, do you know what it means to be a Gordon? Like, yeah, maybe I have some experience in knowing what it means to be a Gordon. you know, for people who watch the other stuff. So okay. Okay, so he's asking about my how some games are like those prison games where takes so much time to try and beat it, you can almost have a prison sentence. So what crime would get what crime would Nyet 3 get you? Because Nyet 3 would be lighter. You could get out after you could get out a few days really if you pushed it on Nyet 3. I think. Um, so Nyet 3 would be a misdemeanor at most. Let's see what maybe just I don't know, but it's intense too. So if you did it casually, it would take weeks. So okay, well, what crime would fit like having to beat Nyet 3 as the punishment? Some sort of medium. I'd say maybe like a larger destruction of property, or maybe a like assault where it was kind of provoked, or something like that. Not like you just like somebody was like really goading the person on and they beat them. I don't know. So something in between there. Kind of enough to warrant putting some time in, man, but nothing too serious. I mean, it's not an armed and delirious level, or because Net 3, it's just a matter of really working the system. So, okay, let's see. I have a question about the game dungeon. If you could fully remake any of the games you've done in the dungeon in VR, what would you choose? That one's good. Well, let's see. Okay, well, motion sickness aside, let's assume that's not an issue. Uh, I guess somebody's putting Strife. No, I think I want Quarantine is coming up top of my list, maybe. But I don't know. I think part of me would want to see Eternum. I'd like to see that world because kind of fleshed out some more. Yeah, somebody's saying Rama. Yeah, maybe. Well, Rama is not that amazing visually. The game. I mean, Rama. It's sort of the conceptual thing, and the music was really. Yeah, I think Quarantine probably be top of the list, but I'd like to see Eternum. I like Eternum. Oh, somebody's saying Carnival. Carnival could be cool. Carnival could be really cool. Um, although I feel like for VR, I want to see it all. And Carnival is on rails. So, I guess Carnival, if I could get off the track and go wander around the carnival, then maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I still kind of, Quarantine's so big. It's, I don't know. I'm leaning towards Quarantine. But Eternum like neck and neck. What's your stance on free to play video games? I think they're great. However, I think we really need to start enforcing, uh, you know, some liability if you pay money for a free to play game, like you buy points or whatever, and they shut it down, and you can never play it again. I don't think that should be legal. Uh, I mean, if they're collecting money from it, if it's completely free, then yeah, then that's not as much of an issue. But yeah, I think it's a great idea, but we're not handling it responsibly for the most part. Did you know Legend of Carania was a 3-part series, and the third part you got to play as Malcolm? Yes, I've played all three. Uh, I think at some point I'll probably cover at least the sequel. Let's see. I don't know if I'll get to the one with Malcolm, but okay, I'm truncating this a bit. Should we consider any startup MOBA dead on arrival since these games are nearly always free and online only? He's talking about there's been a lot of shutdowns of them. Yeah. Well, really, it's at the point now where any online only game that doesn't get a lot of traction, it's basically dead man walking, because I mean, okay, maybe not any, like 99% or 98%, something around there. Uh, MOBAs in particular MOBAs are the, see, that's the thing. MOBAs are the canaries in the mine. They're going first because they have more competition. There's less sort of lasting value to those if you don't have the competitive base. So it's MOBAs. It's not exactly a Highlander situation where there can be only one, but it's rough to survive for those. I mean, since like League of Legends is like the biggest game ever, and Dota's too trying pretty hard to keep its game up too. And since this is it, you have multiple heavy hitters in the MOBA market that are just clutching onto their fan base. So it's like, man, you got to have something to go up against that. But the thing is, this is gonna extend to almost every game that requires you to connect to a central server. So, oh, okay, this is a good question too. What's the probability of eventually doing a Freeman across the universe like in the April 1st video, like in Dear Esther? That was just sort of a one-off thing. I don't have, I maybe have one or two ideas like that, but I don't know if I'm gonna get around to it. Okay. I got to give a warning here, guys. I may not have an April Fool's Day video this year. I've kept it up, or not always a video, but I've done something every time for like 10 years now. It's not that I'm out of ideas. It's that problem again where I don't know if I have ideas I can do in a sane amount of time. That's my problem. So if I think of something, I'll do it, but it's possible it may not happen this year. I'll keep making videos. In fact, I hope to make a lot of videos this year, but so I don't know. I may be out of ideas. I mean, not out of ideas, but out of ideas I can get done without putting everything else on hold. So, yeah, let's see. Are there any games you'd like to cover in Game Dungeon but can't because of possible risk associated with protected content, including a game such as licensed music? Not really, just because Game Dungeon sort of gravitates towards either ones I have strong opinions on, or just sort of these weird underdog games. So that kind of keeps that's kind of a safety barrier as it is. And I can't think of any where they have licensed music where I need to play the licensed music long enough for it to be relevant to my review of it. I can't think of any off the top of my head. But like this, there's some driving games I'll probably want to cover later. I'm just not even gonna throw the music on there, but that's okay because it's like the ski game episode I did where I didn't like the music that much anyway, or it wasn't that remarkable. So I can have a clip of it to show what I'm talking about, and that's not going to trigger too many problems. Although Quarantine got hit with it years after the fact for having copyright, but I was able to successfully fight that because it was fair use or an equivalent of fair use under European law. So, or European Union law. So I got that resolved. Same with Potty Pigeon. Yeah. If you follow me on Twitter, Potty Pigeon, the BBC came after that for my clip of All Creatures Great and Small, except I was using it as fair use. It was just a small clip to show where the music came from. And they doubled down and tried, they rejected my appeal of it, so I took it to the next level. Then they stalled me for the maximum amount of time. It was completely unmonetized. I didn't get the money back from that. But it finally defaulted from them stalling, so I got that back. So I more or less cover myself on this stuff, but it's on the prowl. With YouTube having changed its ad policy yet again, will it affect your channel? Not this time around. However, it is affecting Dead Game News. I'm going to talk about all that in future videos. See, this is where, this is an interesting question. Ross, you've mentioned your love of salmon a few times. Do you genuinely enjoy it, or is it kind of an in-joke reference to something? One, I don't particularly care for salmon. I mean, I like shellfish, but, fish, it's sort of catfish I kind of like, but salmon I've never cared for. So, and two, I can't think of when I mentioned salmon. So I think this person is probably thinking of somebody else, but I like how they got like several votes up on this topic. So let's see. Would you be cool with somebody creating an official Accursed Farms wiki and then posting a link to it on your website? Yeah, I'd be fine with that. In fact, the website work has been done on that. I'm frustrated more hasn't been done on it, but I'm in guns blazing mode on the website right now, and that's going to lead to something cooler with my giant games list later. So, yeah, I'd be fine if you want to make a wiki on everything I've covered. Sure. Okay, somebody's asking for a. Geez, my voice is my throat's hurting right now, but he's asking for a line request. Sorry, my throat's too sore. Okay, so I'm gonna go through these questions. I'm gonna pick ones that I feel like, oh, that's a good question, and then I'll go to the live chat because my throat's it's wearing me down here. Oh man, that's a good question. If you were able to go back 10 years and tell your younger self anything, what would it be? Mine Bitcoin. In 2000, Yeah. Okay, so 2007, I'd say you're gonna hear about this thing called Bitcoin. Go and buy a couple radions because that's all it took back then. Get yourself a nice little crossfire setup. Just mine Bitcoin. Just hold on to it. I think that's what I'd do. So, because then I'd have a gaming rig back then too. So that's the best I have off the top of my head. What what phone do you use and how long did you have it for? I have like this cheap one I got. It's not even a smartphone. It has like a little LCD display, sort of like a Game Boy. I think it's Nokia. I'm not sure. I've had it since 2011. I got. I didn't have a mobile phone until then. I had one once I moved here. So I just had landlines before that. You know, as much as I am into like computers and games and things I can do with them, and the future of virtual reality, uh, I've never really cared that much about phones and smartphones and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. I just see that as like, well, that's what I use to talk to people, and that's about all. Like, that's about the extent that I care about it. So, again, I'm skipping ones just because of my throat here. I have to read through these. Oh yeah, this is a good question. Okay, he's talking about another several YouTube channels with substantial fan base like Game Grumps, Cinemassacre. They'll sometimes have people that animate dialogue clips from them, and any animators in particular you'd enjoy being interpreted by. I kind of want to take this question and just like rearrange it. I would love to do animated shorts, not just of things I've said, but like original ideas I had that might be like 20 seconds long or a minute or something, or hey, even longer if they're up for it. Uh, I would really like to do this in the future. You can contact me about that. Although for animation style, I like to say myself personally, I kind of prefer cartoons and animations where they don't like really exaggerate all the expressions. So, you know, if somebody's alarmed, they just look really alarmed. They don't have their eyes going out to here and their head bouncing up like everything's made of rubber. And I think that style tends to be the dominant one on the internet, whereas I prefer like a little bit more believable one, you know, with like how they look and express themselves. But hey, if you be up for that, that's another thing. I might be slow to get back to you and arrange something, but I would love to. Like, I have some anime. I have some ideas already that can make animated shorts. They come to like a minute or something, or even some shorter ones. So, yeah, somebody's saying King of the Hill style. That's an example. Or well, mentioned Ian Flux earlier. That's another one. And they wouldn't have to look that good, but the point is, you're not like everybody's not made of rubber, and it's not Who Framed Roger Rabbit kind of stuff. So yeah, somebody's saying Simpson or Family Guy style. It just depends. So uh, yeah, so the quality would not have to be great, but you know, I like less exaggerated. I guess what it is if somebody if somebody's like shocked, I like seeing that sort of genuine look of shock rather than make it all goofy because it can sometimes punch harder in my opinion. It's sort of like a less is more thing for my case. I mean, obviously some people prefer the more out there styles. But yeah, somebody likes the Monica Jam track from earlier. Okay. Ooh, that's a good question. If you could install one augmentation from any Deus Ex game into your body, which one would it be and why? Well, okay, I haven't played Mankind Divided yet, so let me think of the others. Gee, I need a list here. Yeah, I like questions like this. So. Let's see, do we have a list? Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. Actually, okay. That one where you can read other people might be pretty handy. They had that the social hand that was in Human Revolution. I don't know. The hacking capture might not be that bad. You could you could. But boy, I could do a lot with hacking capture. That's also from Human Revolution. Because I mean, I wouldn't need the combat ones. Oh man, my voice. All right. I'm almost thinking the hacking one will be better than the reading people because I could get more done. I mean, it depends on your lifestyle, I think, but because a lot of people the reading like what responses to say could be pretty up. I think the hacking one from Mankind Divided. I mean from Human Revolution because then I could then with this dead game stuff, I could take the fight to them. Like, oh, you want to kill this game? Gee, hope the source code doesn't get leaked. Like that sort of thing. Oh, I would go after a bunch of them. Like, yeah. Yeah. I would make that. I would turn that into dead game wars. I would make a lot of things that probably should be open source, even though the companies don't want that happening. I want to do it to everybody, but the ones that like, I'd be tempted to do it for Microsoft too, for Windows. So yeah, I think I might take like a Robin Hood approach with the hacking thing. Yeah, yeah, software Robin Hood. Okay. Have you have you ever teared up over a game, film, or show? I don't think I have because like if there's a sad scene, it can be kind of sad, but if it's like really sad, something in my brain sort of cuts off and thinks like, wait a minute, somebody wrote this. That they're doing this intentionally and it can kind of underplay it. That said, I actually have like legitimately come to tears from music before. Uh Really good trance music has done that to me. Uh like I can't think of easy examples. Maybe some of the tracks I mentioned from some of the artists mentioned the Life is Strange episode, but like not just hearing it, but like you gotta have like the full impact. So the volume up, like you know, reasonably loud. If it's like a dark room, maybe if there's like some colorful visualization thing, it has to like build up to it to like the really good part. So I can't even explain it, but like it's just like it's not because I'm sad. It's just like I'm having tears because of how good it is. It's something about, and the thing is, there's other types of music I really love, but something about the trance, I guess, sort of hits the brain waves in the right way that it can actually uh like tear up. So it's the thing is though, it's weird because on one hand it's so good that it makes it happen, but the other hand, hearing it's almost uncomfortable because it does do that. Uh, okay, well there's some, geez, okay, there's some decent questions here, but I'm really kind of caving in here. Let's see. Yeah, there was a bunch of questions this time because of, oh boy. Somebody asking about Paragon, you're gonna get an answer in that in another video. Let's see. Oh yeah, another announcement. I guess yeah, hour and a half into this. I may, I think in the future I may move the time up on this on when these because right now it's like 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time when it starts, but it's later for me, and I was trying to hit a balance. I might move that up 2 hours in the future because I think most people watch this on YouTube anyways, where it doesn't matter. So it just might make things easier for me in the future. Okay, so I'm gonna be silent for a second while I'm reading more of these. I don't see myself starting a cooking show. Somebody's asking where to go if the world ends or societal collapse. I think I saw a video on like where to go if the world ends, but like if one I've heard one I've heard before is rural Canada. That's probably a good place to, if you just want to be away from where everything's happening. I have not read the book Masters of Doom. Actually, I've been reading. It's one I should have read probably decades ago, but I've actually been reading Foundation by Isaac Asimov lately. It's one of those I always meant to get around to. But I will say though, I am seeing the obvious influence that book had on the Warhammer 40K lore. It very much is a cornerstone for that, I think. Somebody's asking if I have a favorite frag video. Actually, there was a really nice one in a contest I entered where they were taking frag videos and machinima. And I think it was the winner for that. Maybe if I can remember the name of it, I'll get a link. They used it was a Quake video. They used 9 Inch Nails. It was just really well polished and everything. I think I saved a copy of it. I liked it so much. So. Favorite actors, actresses, and directors from older 1960 and earlier films. Well, I like Gold Marx Brothers movies in general. I tend to skip the singing, but those can be really funny. Let's see, what are some other? Well, the general actors of that time, have plenty of charisma. Like Cary Grant or Jimmy Stewart or Peter Lorre's a fun actor. Uh, yeah, well, Hitchcock in general is a fun director. Let's see, yeah, particular films that I like from that era. Would have to think more about it. Like, let's see, when was the Blob? When did the Blob come out? Yeah, 58. Yeah, Steve McQueen. That was, well, yeah, for that matter, when did Great Escape come out? That was probably later. Yeah, that was 63. That's a question I could go on and on. Uh, okay, this is a good question. You've said that you have to make the movie. We'd like to hear you explain exactly why you have to make the movie. It's like, okay, why do I have to make the movie? Okay, me personally, I feel like everything I've made so far is not living up to my potential. Okay, and I feel like I could do better. I feel like I can make it better. And I feel like the movie will be like my first video that kind of lives up to what I can do. I feel like I could do a lot of different things because I have all these ideas, and it's like I feel like I have to prove something myself almost in a sense. and it just leads to this real drive to me wanting to do it. Yeah, like I've mentioned, I tell people sometimes in emails, like the fans, like I feel fully confident I have not gotten to my best work yet. So, and the movie is at least in uh, one thing that I think will hit that. So, okay, we're down to the 0 point questions. I'm gonna go. I'll answer a few questions in the chat. Put 3 equal signs. And sorry, I'm just gonna have to pick in front of your question. I'm just gonna have to pick and choose because my throat's just collapsing here. Sorry, Gustav Evie, I'm skipping that one. He's asking about what's gonna happen in Freeman's mind too. I don't want to give too many hints. I've read the first Dune. I haven't read the sequels. Would you rather be a cybernetically enhanced human or a wizard mage? I think that depends on like what my enhancements are and what my magic capacity is. I mean, just all things being equal, I think I go with a magic user. I could do more stuff, but like, let's say I have the hacking thing I talked about versus I can cast a fireball. Well, that's not gonna that's not gonna be that useful most of the time doing a fireball. Whereas if I can create interdimensional portals to other planets in a galaxy, I think I'd rather have that as the magic user. So, probably the mage, but it depends on the abilities. Gabriel Knight for Game Dungeon. Maybe. I've only played the first 2 Gabriel Knights though. I haven't. I only played a little bit of the third one. Is there a way to make old games like Thief bearable to play? The controls feel so dated. It's kind of throwing me off. Okay. I know this is like blasphemy, but I haven't actually played the Thief series, and I know I need to because it's a classic. I've never been huge on stealth games. I can't see. That's what I liked about Deus Ex. It was a stealth game, but then you could go in and kill the guy if he's giving you too many problems. Whereas Thief, you got to be a ghost, I think. So it's harder. I haven't played the Hitman series for the same reason. I have not heard of the history of of computer RPGs book, or maybe I have. I don't know, but Matthew Barton apparently is the author. I should maybe check that out. Ross, please recommend a piece of music similar to McFarlane's Driven that you used in your VR video, or Forsaken that you used in your Civil Protection and Civil on a Rail. I forget exactly which one Driven was. Oh, that was in the that was the Go to Hell track, wasn't it? Like the dun 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 dun. Or the Forsaken music. Okay, just off the top of my head, check out some of the Unreal and Unreal Tournament tracks. Some of those might hit similar. Check out the Trick Style soundtrack. The Trick Style is awesome. I think you'll find some stuff you'll like in there. It was a PC and Dreamcast game. That's a good starting point. Okay. What's your opinion on Meltdown and Spectre? Boy, who knows where we're going with that. For those that don't know, that's an exploit they found that affects some of them have, especially Intel CPUs, but almost any CPU on the planet. So it's like nothing's safe now. Or if they do patch it, it can slow down performance a bunch in some things and maybe none at all in others. Like I saw some really damning benchmarks. I, I think it was on an older Intel CPU for Shogun 2. This guy was reporting a like a before and after patch, and he was showing a 54 frames per second before to 17 frames per second drop afterwards. And that's sort of an isolated, that's sort of an outlier, but damn, that's to suck. Other games, there's no impact at all. I think they showed The Witcher 3 had like a 10% performance drop when they with the patch. So, but even that, I heard they screwed up the patch and it was causing other problems. It's such a mess. Even then, the patch is something that sort of needs to be done on the hardware level. So it's like making it's such a mess. Like I don't know. I'm glad that's not my problem. That's my opinion on it. I mean, or glad, or rather, it's sort of everybody's problem. I'm glad I'm not responsible for fixing it. That's my. Do you like the way your fans interact with you in this nicer way, or do you wish your fans were more sarcastic and joking like other creators' fan bases? I guess it depends on how good the jokes are. I'm fine with either. I mean, if they're like, yeah, I don't know. It, it just depends. Yeah. If you were abducted by aliens, you had to convince them not to destroy the Earth by giving them any item of your choosing. What would you give them? I can't answer that without knowing more about the aliens. Like in Rama, the octopeds. I read more of the books, and humans run circles around them with circuitry, like integrated circuits and electronics and everything. However, they are the masters of biology. So, like for them, handing them a computer would be probably way more meaningful than something else. Whereas, who knows, to another alien species, maybe like a genetically engineered plant would be more impressive. So, I have not listened. I think I forgot about the dungeon synth question. I guess I haven't listened to that yet. Somebody's asking about my opinion of dungeon synth music. Freeman's Mind 2, he's asking how it compares to 1, better or worse. It's a little harder because I could kind of manipulate. It's kind of both. I mean, the thing is, Gold Source has its unique bugs, and Source Engine has its unique bugs. And well, no, I guess Freeman's Mind 1 was on Source Engine, but I don't know. It's just in a way, Half Life Source is easier because it was sort of nailed down more, and Half Life 2's changed. I don't know. I guess Half Life 2 kind of does more on a technical level than Half Life 1, and that makes it a little trickier when things go wrong. Let's see. Do you have any good tips on thrift? I am terrible at spending and saving money. See, I think most people's problem is they don't have the money to to save to begin with or spend it. But if it's just like a lack of self control, geez, I guess you have to put yourself in a completely different frame of mind and assume like you don't have things like luxury items unless there's no other way around it. Like don't eat out, like ever, pretty much, unless there's unless you can't avoid it. Uh, let's see, what are some other? Try to go for cheaper brands of food, cook more if you can handle it, because cooking, if you cook for yourself, that can be cheaper than a lot of things. It's just that I don't particularly like doing it. If you're getting the same product that's about the same, go for a cheaper brand on most things. Things where it's not going to become more expensive in the long term. But I mean, like for food, uh, I guess what it is okay. Here's the best way to do it. Think of your money like your health in a video game. So it's like, oh man, that arrow hit me. Okay, well I lost 10 points, but I can still make it to the rest of the level. Whereas you're still trying to dodge those arrows. So think of any money you have to spend like, I just lost points. That's the best way to. That's the best analogy I can give. So I mean, sometimes it's worth it to take that hit. Like if it's like a medical thing, or going so cheap you might get malnutrition or anything. So hey, some games are like that too. Like I heard, like for these Mario speedrunners, I think there was one level maybe in the original or Lost Levels or something where, or maybe it was a custom ROM hack where they basically had to take the time out to get a mushroom so they could get hit by like a Hammer Brother or something later, because it was almost impossible to do it with just Tiny Mario. So they had to get that mushroom ahead of time, even because the speed hit was worth it. So yeah, just think of it like your health, like you gotta preserve it. Yeah, you're gonna lose some of it, from just going through the level, but just, can I do without this thing? Or maybe it's something you plan to buy, but you can put it off, every time. Just put it off. If it's like non-essential, that you're like, yeah, I'll get to it later. It's not that critical. So yeah, that's the best answer. Have you heard from Tom White recently? Yes, and we're actually going to be doing something collaborative soon. That'll be on his channel. I'll make an announcement on the website and Twitter when we have that. It would be kind of neat. If you had to pick a certain body part from a chicken and add it to your own, what would it be? It'd be proportional to your size, of course. Man, that's what do chickens excel at? I don't know. I think it'd be bad. I think it'd be a bad trade overall. So I guess you kind of have to go with the, like with roosters, the sort of, I don't even know what it's called, like sort of the mane that they have, because that wouldn't be that big a trade off, and it looks sort of like a mohawk, so that would work, because you don't really want chicken legs. Well, maybe you do, but I don't know. It'd be it would create problems. And the wings, you don't want to lose your fingers and arms. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess the rooster mane. Okay, I'm just gonna pick three more that I end this, because my throat's just, it's too rough. I probably will do a game dungeon on Gothic. Somebody's asking why I prefer that over Elder Scrolls at some point. And I'm 15 minutes behind on the questions. Okay, geez. Again, I'm just looking through what to pick here. So I guess that was the second question with Gothic. I would read some of these, but geez, there's a lot of good questions this time, but it's let's see. Okay, well, I'll give an extra. This isn't a question. I'll give this an extra one. I read an old PC Gamer magazine and saw someone write to the editors about MMO stories, but it was listed as Ross Scott. I never wrote to PC Gamer. Well, no, okay. I wrote to one guy, an editor, like last year when he put an article out about Freeman's Mind when I did the April Fool's, which surprised me. I didn't know they were going to do that. And I had an interview on the website a couple years ago. So that wasn't me. Okay, so I got to pick the last question here. Like one comment to what I was mentioning earlier, rent equals critical hit. Yeah, sure does. Okay, I've caught up, so maybe I should back up a bit on the questions. Oh, I was seeing if there was one better, but let's see. Oh yeah, Ross, have you heard that EA might buy Steam? I heard Microsoft might buy Valve or EA, and then they bought some like streaming company or cloud processing game company or something instead. My thoughts were, I mean, pretty much any of these companies buying Steam is going to be bad news in the long run. I mean, because Valve's a private company, which means they don't have to answer to shareholders to increase profits every quarter. And that makes a huge difference on stuff you can do. While that might mean more games would come out from Valve, that could compromise the fact that Valve is a pseudo monopoly in the PC gaming space. That's the more critical issue, I think. Yeah, I guess we want Steam to stay independent. If the company bought the rest of Valve intellectual property, that might work out. Like, because then you would have Half-Life sequels or Portal, whatever. But yeah, but if Microsoft bought EA, sure, who cares? Sure, and they're not gonna handle it any worse. But yeah. I have no problem if Microsoft wants to buy EA. Whatever. Okay, so I think I'll end that on that note and take a break from. We'll see how my voice is tomorrow, if I can even talk or what.